Hey guys, MizzeeOH here with another Man in Black Reviews Film Club installment. This month, we're covering the cult classic Donnie Darko, with Re-Animator, Graham, and Josh, the horror guru, once again.
Matt Damon!
So.
Apparently Matt Damon doesn't want to speak to me.
Alright.
So, once again, to start off with, how we usually start these, when did you guys first see this movie, and why? Like, what was the context?
For me, 3 weeks ago. You suggested this for the podcast. I've known about the movie for years, and the only thing I really knew about it was the mascot, the rabbit. Other than that, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about the
rabbit.
Yeah, if for nothing else. But I have been kind of interested in it for a while, and it wasn't really until you nudged me into it that I decided to pick it up. And it turned out to be not too bad. I mean, there are some great things about it, but I do have some problems with it too. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
And what about you, Josh?
I saw it back in middle school, actually. And what I remember about it is I remember being incredibly confused, but really, I still ended up liking it despite that. It was an interesting feeling. I have no idea what the hell went on in the movie, but something about it I liked.
Yeah, that's kind of the same. That's kind of the same reaction I got. I was confused, but whatever it was that clung to me, I really.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's kind of like watching a David Lynch film.
Too, like, when I was, well, I guess I would have been pretty young too, about 10, 11, and it was actually the day after a pet rabbit of mine had died, so the whole speech about rabbits dying and such kind of depressed me, but despite that, I still liked it a lot, so.
Yeah. This movie is actually kind of interesting in that it does deal with a lot of issues that you wouldn't see. Like, I mean, if you look at the poster for it, you'd think this was some kind of messed up horror movie. But the truth is, it does delve into things like psychosis and the human mind, and yeah, and I mean the time travel aspects didn't really hook me, but what did really get me interest
the time travel aspect was interesting because it was kind of random compared to the rest of the plot that was sort of, I mean, Frank I wouldn't consider a fantasy element just because he was in Donnie's mind, but the time travel aspect I would, because that was like independent of Donnie Darko, so it was sort of like this random element they decided to throw in. Yeah,
but the thing is, I mean, I was more interested in delving into Donnie's psyche. I mean, he has this very interesting mind that any psychology student would want to study. I mean, he's really smart and really bright, but at the same time, he's too smart for his own good. He's always getting in trouble. He's always talking back to his teachers. I mean, even though that is kind of typical for someone his age, but at the same time, it's almost kind of scary, like how antisocial he was. Like at the first 30 minutes when he first meets the girl who would become his girlfriend, and he's like talking to him about his problems. I was just thinking, what the hell are you doing, you stupid girl? Run away! Run away! This guy's crazy! I like how he seemed immediately crazy, and yet she just jumped into the right relationship. Excuse me, like, yeah, okay, awesome. Yeah, he's like, hi, I'm insane. Take me now. Yeah.
You underestimate how hot crazy guys are. Okay.
Yeah.
Girls like that quiet, mysterious, loony type.
I am crazy. I know.
Yeah.
But I still did like the time travel element, even though it was kind of random, and I agree that maybe they should have covered Donnie's psyche a bit more. That element was, I guess it just went into the whole kind of overall confusion of the whole movie, but it still sort of went along with everything else pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, well, pretty much the time travel, that whole aspect, like, that's the part of the movie that makes it a confusing movie, because outside of that, you pretty much have this pretty this pretty stereotypical character study of this antisocial character and his interactions with people.
Simple to follow otherwise.
Yeah, simple to follow otherwise, but
like
you throw in this
time loop of.
Yeah, and you even have like this building climax at the end, and then all of a sudden, like, now he's traveling back in time. Now planes are flying into his house, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yes, yeah.
And everything else up until that point, everything else, like the connections between other people, like the bubbles coming out of people's chest, all those things can be written off as being in his head. But once you throw time travel in the mix, you're just like, I have no idea what's going on anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking to a guy who knows jack shit about time travel, even though, I mean, you'd be better off asking like Doctor Who or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Doctor Who is confused with time travel is.
We are unfortunately unable to time travel at all yet, but
yeah, but bottom line, the time traveling aspects were kind of a bit lost on me. But the thing that kept me hooked was delving into this character's mind and just seeing how he interacts with these people and how he reacts to how these other people are always like trying to tell him what to do, or like trying to find these answers trying to find a simple answer to all these questions that can't really be answered that simply.
Yeah,
like,
he sees all these people like his teacher who just have these simplistic answers to these complex life problems, or even simple life problems that they just give these crap answers to. And it sort of baffles him because the answers are just not what they're giving. It's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when he's talking to the female teacher. I forgot her name, but it's
I know
it's when they have that chalkboard with the fear and love thing, and his whole speech there, like, things aren't as simple as just fear or love. That was a great part of the movie, and he was so right, everything he said.
Yeah, definitely.
I think what really speaks to that whole Donnie, like, other people's answers not being enough for Donnie, and that things aren't as simple as people paint them to be, is the whole Patrick Swayze character. That whole that whole character, like, he's essentially a motivational speaker, and he's always has these simple answers to make everything better. And then what do you find out about him? He's got a dark secret. What is he? He's a pedophile.
Yeah.
Very, very dark secret.
Yeah, and that's actually my favorite scene in the whole movie, where he's trying to give this seminar on his philosophy for all these answers, and then Donnie just gets up and calls him a charlatan in front of the entire school.
Yeah, it's a pretty great scene.
And when he gives his own answers to all the kids on the stage, take a karate class and kick the bully in the balls.
Yeah, by the end of that, I was thinking, looks like baby just got screwed.
What's interesting is, upon watching it a few times, because this is definitely a movie you should watch a few times, just to digest it all more, I guess. But during the first scene, where they mention Patrick Swayze's character, at least I think it's the first scene, we see Donnie sort of just watching the video with a blank look on his face, and then we suddenly hear Frank's voice. I think he said something like, "Pay close attention or else you may miss something." And this isn't really addressed directly anymore, but what you have to pay attention to is, one thing I noticed was during one of the video clips of Patrick Swayze's video, was that when he was hugging one of the boys, he gave him very little slap on the ass.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, I see what you're doing there, movie.
Yeah, nice I gotta go back and look for that.
Ninja hug.
How would you like to come back to my house and have some popcorn?
I gotta say, like, the casting on this movie, like, is genius. Like,
Yeah.
like who would have thought Patrick Swayze in that role to begin with?
Because, like,
No.
I loved
And-
Patrick Swayze. He was great. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Exactly, which makes him perfect to be that motivational speaker, and then to give him that dark sequence, have him play against type. That's great. And casting both Gyllenhaals as Donnie and his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
Great.
that.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw Swayze in there and I saw what kind of character I was playing, I mean, it was kind of the same reaction I got from seeing, like, Michael Keaton as Batman. It's not the kind of character you expect him to play, but at the same time, it fits perfectly for that exact reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're like, and it's not just Jake Gyllenhaal and Patrick Swayze. And there are actually, like, a lot of actors in that movie who went on to do some weird stuff. Like, did you know that Seth Rogen was in that movie?
Yeah,
he
this, actually, watching this the other day for this podcast was the first time that I noticed his involvement in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of the,
Cool.
he was one of the two bullies that was, like, constantly picking on him. And he only had, like, 2 lines in it. But if you go back and look at it, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And there's it even goes deeper than that. Going back to the scene where Patrick Swayze is giving his seminar. Well, you know the 3 kids who went up to Patrick Swayze and told him all their problems?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you something about all 3 of those kids. All right, the girl who with the frizzy hair who went up to him and said she was worried about her sister's eating problem.
Mhm.
That's Ashley Tisdale.
Mm.
Now, what has Ashley Tisdale done again? I know the name, I just can't think of anything.
She was in High School Musical.
Yeah.
Oh,
No
and
wonder I don't know her.
No one blames you.
And,
It's
I guess in
actually a
retrospect
good
it would have
thing.
been worse if I had said, Ashley Tisdale, I love her.
I love Ashley Tisdale. You know, High School Musical 2, favorite movies ever. Totally.
all right,
I also love Aliens in the Attic. Yo, represent.
All right, chances are you're probably not going to know this next guy either. The tall, lanky kid who didn't know what he wanted to do for his career. His name is Jerry Trainer, and he's had lead and recurring roles in shows like Drake and Josh and iCarly.
Oh, really? I actually know those shows mostly because my brother loved them a long time ago, so they were on constantly for me.
Mm-hmm. And the little boy left who was getting picked on was Danny DeVito's son.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a name?
He's just Danny DeVito's son.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia, but I did find it somewhere. But, yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. I was just curious.
But yeah, it is. But the point is, it is what you were saying about the casting going on in this was really interesting, and this was done way back in 2001 before any of those people ever went ananywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely before Seth Rogen got popular.
Oh yeah,
Except for Patrick Swayze, he's always popular.
yeah, him and Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. She was in this. That's right.
Yeah, she
Yes.
actually produced it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually she was the one who saved this movie from going straight to video.
Really?
Mm. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
She would have been quite the starlet then, around the Charlie's Angels era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, what version of the movie did you guys see? Did you see the director's cut?
I saw a theatrical cut. I have not seen the director's cut, unfortunately.
Yeah. What about you, Graham?
Yeah, I saw the theatrical cut too, but you said that I need to see the director's cut. So I saw some of the deleted scenes, and they did really add some. They did add a different perspective to it.
Absolutely, because I was reading on Wikipedia about how the director's cut had the pages from the time travel book, which, looking at the movie, and I don't think I've seen the theatrical cut, or I may have, but it may have been a long time ago. I've mostly seen the director's cut. I can't imagine it without those, because those add just really another layer of understanding to things that you really need just to not be totally lost.
Yeah, from what I've heard from people is that the theatrical cut is incredibly confusing, and a lot of people love that more. That the fact that the movie doesn't have any answers and doesn't help you through the movie, whereas the director's cut actually has the story be a lot more clear, which is why I would like to see it, because I would like to know what the hell just went on.
Yeah. What did you watch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it adds another whole 20 minutes, so...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really start getting really confused until, like, the last 10 or 15 minutes, but watching the deleted scenes, there were some things that were cut out that really did expand on it. Like, one thing I was interested in that they cut out the theatrical cut, they were reading in their English class the short story, The Destructors, which is about this gang of kids who breaks into an old man's house and pretty much wrecks the place. And which was
my favorite pastime.
and it's pretty much foreshadowing to what Donnie eventually does to both the school and to Patrick Swayze's house.
That's true.
I didn't realize that wasn't in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, but the thing was, after the school got wrecked, one of the teachers, actually it was the teacher who made Donnie Darko do that whole love fear seminar thing. Mm-hmm. She wanted to get the books pulled, and she was successful. And instead of reading The Destructors, they started reading Watership Down.
Yeah.
Nice.
With talking rabbits.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, and that not only was that like a more humorous twist, but it really added to the themes of the movie more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine all of these scenes not in the movie. I'm almost curious just to watch the theatrical release now, just to see what it's like without these scenes, because watching only the director's cut for so long now, it's like every scene, to me at least, just seems very instrumental, so I would definitely recommend you both watch that, because it's really worth it. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I will, or maybe I won't. You'll never know. And if you do know, I'll be terrified how you find out.
I have my ways, Josh.
Oh my god.
You're the bunny that's been standing over my bed when I sleep at night.
Oh my god.
We
can never stay on track with these. We're never gonna have luck with that.
Yeah, tracks are overrated. It's all about the gravel and going off and hitting someone's house instead.
Burning it down.
Yeah.
Hey, look on the bright side. At least we're not having a 10-minute argument about castration.
Exactly.
We could, though. We could.
Yes.
Do you think Patrick Swayze's character deserves to be castrated?
Please don't.
Bill, we love you.
Yes, we do.
Exactly.
Even though you don't pay me.
The first MIBR meme.
All right, but seriously, let's get back on track.
Steer us, conductor.
So another thing I really loved about this movie was the music selection.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember its soundtrack being pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean it did really add to like sort of the melancholy of the whole movie, because it was basically all 80s romantic new wave. Like, it had bands on there like Tears for Fears, Joy Division, Echo and the Bunnymen, another bunny reference.
Yeah.
And
that's because the movie actually, I didn't realize this when I first watched it, and I found out later after rewatching it. The movie takes place in the 80s.
yeah.
And it doesn't actually shove in your throat that it takes place in the 80s, so you can almost see the whole movie and not notice it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, though the most obvious aspect as far as that was the whole election talk.
Yeah. That does make it much more apparent.
Yeah, like the whole tense dinner discussion about it. I'm not gonna squeeze one out until I'm 30. But Frank is epic. I'm just gonna put that out there too, randomly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about Frank for a minute, because we haven't really talked about him, and he's practically the movie's mascot.
Yeah. Everything from his costume to his voice. His voice! Oh, I love his voice.
Don't swoon too hard. He is a bunny. That would be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, wrong in some people's opinion, but...
Are you trying to tell us something? Josh, I think
Yes.
Oak might be a furry.
I don't just think it. I'm sure of it. Much like Patrick Swayze, she keeps bunny porn in her basement.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. This did not turn out as I thought it would.
Well...
That's also where she castrates people.
Oh, God.
Look at she's like cracking up.
But she's not denying it, you notice.
Well, you have a point there.
I sincerely apologize to anybody who's had the courage to make it this through. This is not how we intended it at all.
If any of you have actually listened to all of our podcasts all the way through, you must be a different person by now, but we thank you.
It's okay.
Yes.
We are being as linear as Donnie Darko.
That
Exactly.
is true. That is true.
So, like, Frank, getting back onto the movie, since I guess we should discuss the movie.
Yes.
So, like, since we did find out later in the movie that the person in the Frank costume, even in Donnie's fantasies, was the kid that he later shot. Like, that leaves a lot of questions. That's actually one of the more confusing aspects of the whole movie. Like, was Donnie imagining him some psychic thing? Like, him somehow knowing that... Not knowing, like, consciously, but through this whole time warp thing... some psychic fantasy of what he was going to do, and then it just manifested that way, I wonder, or something like that. I'm not describing it well, but it's hard to describe this movie well, in theory.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, and that kind of baffled me too. Like, I mean, we did see him take off his mask in the movie theater way before we shot him, and his eye was shot, so...
Mm-hmm.
And
Donnie even asked in the movie theater, how'd that happen to your eye? And Frank just looked at him like, you asshole.
Yeah. I mean, that's just another one of the things in this movie that just doesn't really make any sense.
Just a random curveball that they throw at you and say, figure it out, we're not helping you.
Yeah. I mean... Yeah,
you want answers? You don't get any.
No answers for you.
And then when you think you're gonna get answers, Richard Kelly kills Donnie, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Actually, now I am kind of curious to see the director's cut, just to see if it does answer any of the questions that the theatrical cut doesn't answer.
I think it really does, mostly with the time travel pages, because those were just very, very interesting. And they really shed a new light on certain things. So.
Like how so?
Well, they talk about, for example, one thing they mention are like artifacts appearing, and that's starting the whole time warp / time travel thing. Well, the artifact, I can't remember the exact wording for a lot of these because, well, my notes for this podcast aren't very specific, they're very general. But
You have notes?
yeah, I take random little notes just so I can remember certain things. I find it helps a little bit, but
I just get my IMDb and Wikipedia.
Does your notes actually say Frank is hot?
Stop it, Josh!
do you really want to get back onto this again? Now ask yourself.
Go ahead.
But, like, the artifact to start the time travel thing, I see that as the plane engine.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna ask if that does revert back to the jet engine. And that does kind of make sense.
Yeah. Of course, they never, like, explicitly say, even in the director's cut, the engine was the artifact. You're just supposed to basically put 2 and 2 together, I guess. So I could be wrong, definitely, but it seems like that would be the most obvious artifact in the movie.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Though there's also the other interpretation that he just imagined this all before he died because he's crazy.
Well, true. I thought about that. Like, if it was a dream, though, like, he just went to sleep because this happened. The plane crashed into his house when he was in bed.
Mm-hmm.
So what if he just dreamed all of this in bed? Then he just woke up laughing because of the dream, and then he died anyway. What if this was all just a goddamn dream?
It's possible. The only thing that makes it impossible is how does he predict that a plane's going to crash his house?
Well, true.
Because that's how the dream begins. Or yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've had some weird dreams that did end up coming true in some shape or form. But I mean, never anything as extreme as like a jet engine dropping on my room. But it has been known to happen.
Well, stuff like that definitely happens. I mean,
it does.
It's happened to me, too. I know that, like, before 9/11, for example, apparently a lot of people dreamt of, like, this building just sort of being destroyed, and inside the building, just dreams that really can be connected to that. A lot of people apparently had that. So that sort of thing is definitely not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah. It's true. So how about that Donnie Darko, huh?
Man, don't even get me started. I think we've said a lot of. Actually, we haven't really said enough. I mean, we've said that he's like this really interesting, psychotic mind. We've already glanced over that, but I think this movie is kind of like a psychology student's wet dream because he's got like a whole bunch of shit going on in his head. And there's like a lot in there to dissect. I mean, definitely something more salvageable than professionals like us can get a grasp at.
Yeah, if someone was a lot smarter, they'd probably have a lot more to say.
Yeah. As proven like 5 minutes ago.
And that does present a good question, though. Like, if we go with the theory that it is not a dream, that it all actually happens, and he goes back in time and dies. How much of what happens during that whole mid-between, how much of that is in his head and how much is it? Is Frank real or is that just imaginary? Like,
well,
it's a good question because.
Well,
go ahead.
I do remember that before the jet engine fell on his house at the end, they did show like a montage of like all the different people that he's interacted with, and one of them was Frank, the guy he did end up shooting.
Yeah.
And he was like preparing his costume, and we saw the mask and everything.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of another page of the time travel book. They covered that, like, before that montage. They talked about how people from the alternate universe would wake up and think of it as a dream. Not many would remember it, but a lot of them would feel very remorseful or regretful or just overall very sad, and you saw that from the fact that most of them were crying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, damn, the director's cut does give answers.
I know. Man.
You guys need to see it.
I would have understood this movie so much more if I saw that version.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if, like, you could even see some recognition in the very last scene when Donnie's family is standing outside and then Gretchen, the girlfriend, just sort of... Gretchen and the mom exchange this look like, I kind of know you. I think I do, but I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of like that same glance that you give someone that kind of looks like someone you've known for years ago, that you just passed on the street and then you just walk away because you think maybe it's just some random stranger.
Yeah,
but,
you're not sure enough to say anything, but you know there's something there. So.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Josh?
I think this movie flew over my head.
I think you need to watch the director's cut.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I would probably understand it so much better.
Because I can't imagine watching it without just mainly the time travel pages. They are crucial.
It sounds like this is probably why the movie became a cult classic, because the theatrical cut made it so confusing that you'd have to be a certain type of person to really love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I imagine if that director's cut with more answers, more something to grasp onto than just what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
It probably would have been a bigger hit than it was. It probably would.
But I mean, even with the added answers, especially from the time travel pages, it's still confusing. Like the whole Frank thing: was he real? Was he not?
Which is a good kind of confusion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, not everything should be answered with a movie like this. A lot of it should be left to your imagination.
I mean, yeah, I do kind of hate it when a movie tries to explain everything to you as it goes on, but with a movie like this that delves into all these different themes and subjects, it would kind of require some insight.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between explaining something and setting something up and then paying it off. Something like what she was talking about with the book, like talking about people waking up from their alternate realities and being remorseful and things like that. That's something that happens early in the story, and then it's set up for when he wakes up later. I mean, that's a setup and a payoff. It's something you can understand. Without that there, you're just kind of left wondering, like, what's going on? Like, this came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely would have made some things clearer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's different than having, like, the character stop all of a sudden and just spell out for the audience everything that's happening to you as it's happening.
Yeah.
Which to some degree that happens in the movie. I mean, even in the theatrical cut, he talks like explicitly about time travel and wormholes.
Yeah, but not like, so detailed that it hand feeds you all the answers. Far from it.
And it's necessary too, because when you're talking about something like out there and scientific, like fucking wormholes, you've got to explain it enough so that the person who has never read about a wormhole knows what you're talking about. You got Though most people probably by now know what wormholes are, but
yeah, I mean, this isn't like Doctor Who where it's pretty much just laid out. I mean, they are talking about like actual theories about time travel, like Stephen Hawking and stuff like that.
Indeed. Doctor Who just waves his hand and just goes, it's just wibbly wobbly tiny.
Yes.
You don't need to explain.
Explanation, that's for sissies.
And when they do give an explanation, it's in pseudoscience, and you're like, well, I don't know what he just said, but it sounded cool.
Yeah.
Star Trek did that all the time.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Right now, I'm actually just trying to look up, like, if I can find stills of the pages from the book and the movie so I can read what some of them said, just because those are still... There's still stuff from the pages that I have not covered just because I can't remember it extremely, like, the exact quotes and such, but...
Oh, there's something else I found out about the casting that I forgot to mention. The girl who plays Samantha Darko, his little sister, Davy Chase, I found this really interesting, mostly because I'm an animation specialist. She has done some voice work in some big movies. Like, she played Lilo in Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and she played Chihiro in Spirited Away.
Interesting.
I've got something cooler.
What?
She was Samara from The Ring.
No way.
Yes,
Really?
she was.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And she's also the only connecting factor to the sequel, which we're not even going to touch that.
I'm never watching that movie ever. It could go
Wait,
die.
she was literally in S. Darko?
Yep,
Yeah.
she was S. Darko.
I just assumed that no one came back for that one.
She was the only one who came
smart.
back because she was desperate.
Oh, jeez. That just hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe she had some back taxes or something. Actually, it's kind of interesting. The DVD version that I got was a double version. It has Donnie Darko and S. Darko. And it was the only copy I can find. Shut up.
That is the only way they can sell that movie.
Yes.
Let's bundle it up with the first one. They'll have no choice now. Genius.
Don't worry, I threw that away. I took it out to the backyard, took out my pellet gun, and I shot some skeets.
Nice.
Yeah, one interesting thing from the pages is one of the chapters is called The Living Receiver, and I think that is definitely Donnie's role in the movie, but it says specifically, the living receiver is chosen to guide the artifact into position for its journey back to the primary universe. No one knows how or why a receiver will be chosen. The living receiver is often blessed with fourth-dimensional powers. These include increased strength, telekinesis, mind control, and the ability to conjure fire and water. The living receiver is often tormented by terrifying dreams, visions, and auditory hallucinations during his time within the Tangent universe. These surrounding the living receiver, known as the manipulated, will fear and try to destroy him. The manipulated living are often the close friends and neighbors of the living receiver. They are prone to irrational, bizarre, and often violent behavior. This is the unfortunate result of their task, which is to assist the living receiver in returning the artifact to the primary universe. The manipulated living will do anything to save themselves from oblivion. So
I think that would make a lot more sense in the context of whatever scene he was synced up with.
Yeah, because the director's cut did a really good job of syncing things up, so maybe it's a bit confusing just reading it off like that, but if you watch it and you read the pages as they come on, it'll be less confusing.
Well, I know what my homework assignment is.
Exactly.
Your homework assignment is to watch Southland Tales. That's your homework assignment. You thought you were confused now. You watch that movie and you think Richard Kelly went insane and decided to make a movie and everyone just placated him.
Yeah. After that you'll probably have to marathon season 2 of Heroes to balance things out.
No, I actually liked The Box. I liked that. That was pretty good.
I haven't seen The Box. Yeah.
What is The Box?
About halfway into the movie, it turns into a Richard Kelly movie, but I still liked it. And by that I mean it makes no fucking sense.
You keep saying The Box. The only movie I can think of when you say that is Seven.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Tell me, what's in the box? It's Gwyneth's head.
Yes.
Spoilers.
I've never seen Seven either, so
Oh my
god.
I will at some
You
point.
should have told me before I just inexplicably spoiled the ending.
Oh my god. This is the greatest podcast ever. We should do it like this more often.
So yeah, Donnie Darko. Go see it, everybody.
Exactly.
Let's see the director's cut.
Exactly.
Yes.
Emphasis on that. Unless
Yeah.
you like confusion and headaches.
I'm sure David Lynch fans do. I'm a fan of David Lynch. I mean, I enjoyed it, but still, I would prefer to have known what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you are right. This is very Lynchian. I mean, I can definitely see like a lot of the influence in there.
He's definitely a Lynch fan, at least.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, so I apologize.
Whatever. I think we're gonna wrap this up anyway.
Yeah, we pretty much covered everything there is to cover with this. Or, well, I don't know if you could ever cover everything there is to cover with this movie and get out all theories, but...
Yeah. Well, thank you for everybody who made it this far without losing your brain cells.
I guess if you can get through a 10-minute castration discussion, you can get through this. You can get through... Bunny.
I don't know.
Sex.
By the time they're done with this cast, they may castrate themselves just to get the sounds out of their ears.
Well, anyway, I'd like to thank Josh for doing this on such short notice.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. And join us next time when we do our Stanley Kubrick special. Our Stanley Kubrick special. Our Stanley Kubrick special. Our Stanley Kubrick special. Our Stanley Kubrick special.